to Saturday's 9 race card, and I'll try to be brief. If I can do 3 minutes a race, then it'll be just shy of half an hour. That's probably quite a big if you've tuned into any of my videos before. So we start Saturday 7 o'clock local time in the UK with the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, a 7 furlong race on dirt, where historically the older fillies and mares had dominance. That changed more recently, courtesy of a couple of very classy mares who got the job done in Gamine and co. So this year, small field, 9 runners. Stuart Williams's Pandora's Gift is out after selling for a whopping $850,000 last night, as I record this on Thursday. So we've got 9 going to post. On the trends, it looks like Vava and Society and perhaps Ways and Means have the best of it. The Society form ties in with Vava and also with Scylla, and of those three, Society is very classy, but she's a bit in and out. I ended up with Ways and Means here, the favourite. Just thought dropping back in trip was ideal for her, and she's definitely the classiest filly in the field. She's got a lovely way of going. She runs straight as a gun barrel, and I love to see that, particularly on the dirt. She's not much of a price, but she's a Grade 1 winner this year, and I think 7 furlongs in what should be kind of a truly rather than overly run race will suit her down to the ground. Zeitlos is a little bit interesting. She is a later runner, tends to come from the back. She's been winning over 6 furlongs. She won the Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes last time. That's a key prep for this. And the extra furlong looks right up her street as well, so she could run on into the frame. It's a competitive opener, and I'm going with Ways and Means. The second race on the card, 7:41 or thereabouts, is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and we've got loads of familiar names in here, including Believing, Starlust, Big Evs and Bradsell, and perhaps Star of Mystery as well. But the one I think to be with is Steve Asmussen again and Cogburn. This horse is bloody fast. I mean, he really is electric from the stalls. Keep in mind that in the 16 renewals of this race, we sort of think, well, it's a turf race, so it should be a Euro race. In the 16 renewals of this race, the only European winner was Glass Slippers, Kevin Ryan and Tom Eves, who managed to conjure a charmed run up the rail that day. Almost an impossible trip to win, and no European horse has won this race before or since. Bradsell would have had a standout chance had he not been drawn in the car park in the widest stall of all in 12. He's also never been round a turn, as far as I can tell, and certainly not in a public race, and that's got to be a bit of a worry. There's no one on his outside to help him with his steering, so Holly Doyle has her work cut out there, but he is an exceptional European sprinter. He's obviously won the Nunthorpe, was close up on the soft ground last time in the Prix de l'Abbé, and he brings very high class form to the table. Star of Mystery, she is a pretty swift filly herself. Her problem is that she kind of gets left a little bit in the early stages of races before rattling home late, as she did last time over 5.5 furlongs. This is 5 furlongs, and that little slightly shorter road is probably not in her favour. But if they go a million miles an hour, then she could close into the frame. But I'm really, the more I look at this, actually one other that I want to mention is Starlust. I quite like Starlust. I liked his run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year, where he was third, finishing very well at the end. I liked his run in the Nunthorpe this year, where he was third, and he kind of knows the drill here. He's been around the sharp US turns. He's got a kind draw in 4, and he's a big price. So Starlust has a bit of a squeak at a price, but really this looks Cockburn's to lose. He is a very fast horse. Race 3 is the Distaff, the ladies' classic as it was once known, tragically. Thankfully, they went back to the Distaff. And you can see that one of the key trends is that 31 of 40 winners were 3 or 4 year olds, and actually nearly half the winners were 4 year olds, including 12 of the last 22. So being a 4 year old is a good positive. You can see 10 on my grid here, but Batucada and Miss New York are both non-runners. So it's a short field of 8, and it's headed by the odds-on favourite Torpedo Anna. She's had a stellar season, winning 4 Grade 1s, and the pick of her form is stones ahead of these. But she's been on the go a long time, and she's got pretty good speed either side of her. So she's drawn 2. Candid in 1 has quite good tactical speed, and Alice Verite in 4 will probably go forward for the Japanese runner. Now, I've no idea how good she is, but I don't think this is a particularly good field either. So she actually could take them quite a long way. And there's an argument to say that Torpedo Anna's just the best, and she gets a good trip drafting behind Alice Verite and goes on and wins. I definitely can't crab that argument, but at the same time, do I want to bet 2 on about it? Not really. And the reason not really is because in her last 2 starts, Torpedo Anna was a close second, an excellent close second in the Travers Stakes, a 3-year-old race against the boys, and then where she recorded a standout speed figure. And then on her most recent run, she ran at Parks, and she won, but she won by a very small margin, and she was expected to be a lot more comfortable than that. And she has been on the go for a very long time, and I just wonder if that was a sign that she's kind of a little bit not over the top, but certainly might have nearly had enough for the year. You can't have any question marks like that if you want to bet odds on, and so I've got to look elsewhere. The 2 that Alice Verite is kind of interesting because she's 1,000,000 to 1 at more at prices that the market suggests are more realistic contenders. I thought Raging Sea looked to have a good profile for this. She probably needs to step forward somewhat in ability, but her record at 9 furlongs, 5 wins from 7 starts, and a second place as well, is very impressive. And the other Japanese runner, Awesome Result, who is 7 from 7 lifetime, brings a 3 from 3 9 furlong record to the table here. Don't really know the class level that Awesome Result's been running at, but she just keeps on winning. So it's a more interesting race than perhaps the market has it, and I'm going to be against Torpedo Anna just for small bets. But if she turns out to be the real deal, then I will cheer her and respect very much what she's achieved this year. 9 o'clock or thereabouts, the Breeders' Cup Turf. Now it looks a pretty substandard renewal this year. It's normally a bomb-proof Euro race in recent seasons. The favourite is Rebel's Romance, and the thing about Rebel's Romance is he's trying to do what 67 horses have tried before and failed to do, and that is win at aged 6 or older. Now, to be fair to Rebel's Romance, he's a better class than the vast majority of those, but there have been some pretty good horses who were 6 and tried to do this. Flintshire is one that sticks in the memory, in the craw, as a painful lesson learnt a few years back when he could only finish second. So Rebel's Romance record this year and last year as well. I mean, he's a globe-trotting Grade 1 magnet. He's just a fantastic horse, and would be a really deserving winner of the race. But at his price, at his age, has he just lost a little bit of tactical speed? We'll see. I just want to be against him on this occasion. But then against him with who? So the 2 Japanese horses, Rauschen Park and Shariar, have been around the block. Sharia might have won this last year. Rowshan Park was expected to do a lot better on his final prep when he, it was a lot shorter to be fair, it was 9 furlongs as opposed to these 12, but he really blew out in quite a big way there. Emily Upjohn was going to the filly and mare turf and then repointed here. I think that is a reflection that John, probably more than Thady Gosden, believes that this is the easier option versus the filly and mare turf over a furlong shorter. Luxembourg has a proper chance here. He's a bit of a he's danced all the big dances. Sometimes he has to sacrifice himself for a stablemate, but when he's been given his own head, like in the Coronation Cup, he's a great grade or Group 1 winner in his own right, and he might just try and roll from the front. And I think Highland Reel did something similar back yon. So Luxembourg is definitely a player. I really respect Brian Meehan, and obviously he won this race with Dangerous Midge for Ivaz Parvizi, the same owner as JRB. But I can't really see this one winning. He's an admirable chap, but he's just kind of got beat most times in Group 1 company. Now, I couldn't have Dangerous Midge back then either, so it definitely wouldn't be a surprise if JRB wins, but he's not for me. Of the others, the American horse Far Bridge. Now, you wouldn't normally give an American horse any sort of chance in a race like this, but he's 2 from 2 at 12 furlongs. But I think they're both Grade 1s. He's a dual Grade 1 winner this year. He's got a sort of middle draw. He's tactically versatile. He's a square price against some of the other lads there. So I don't really like Wingspan here. She was going to filly and mare's turf. She's not really my idea of the winner. In the end, I kind of I like Luxembourg. I quite like Emily Upjohn, and I'm prepared to have a small try at Farbridge as well. And if Rebel's Romance is good enough or Luxembourg, then fair enough. Neither of those would be any kind of a shock apart from a statistical bomb as the first 6-year-old or older horse to win this at the 1, 2, 3, 4 from 71 that will have tried by then. Onwards, and after the turf, a bit earlier than usual, it's the classic, and what a classic it is. The purists or the numbers guys can talk to you about the respective merits of the 3 intercontinental protagonists, but the narrative for this race, the storylines, Forever Young was wronged in the Kentucky Derby when Sierra Leone took his ground. He had a case to win the race in the steward's room, but they didn't object. He comes back now, and he means business. He's got stall 1, which could be a blessing, could be a curse. It's not always straightforward from the inside trap. He's up against, of course, City of Troy. We'll come back to him in a minute, but also Fierceness, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner a year ago and winner of the Travers from Torpedo Anna last time. He's been a bit in and out this season, and he's got fans and people who want to get him beat. But there's little doubt that he's a high-class horse who fits here very well. The question is, you've got 3 high-class horses and then a cast of understudies as well. The third of the 3 is City of Troy, and he's been well fated in the papers. You'll know everything about him by Justify, a Triple Crown winner out of a very high-class Coolmore turf mare. He's won everything apart from the 2,000 guineas back at home. He was impressive in the Derby. He was impressive last time in the Juddmonte, and obviously the big question mark with him is the dirt. We won't know. Personally, I think he'll handle the surface absolutely fine, but the question is whether he'll handle the kickback, because that will be something that he's never experienced before. Of course, if he goes forward or sits handy, then he can avoid most of the kickback, and that becomes less of an issue. He'll obviously stay this 10 furlongs and more, so the trip's no question, where it is for perhaps a few of these. And I think he's got a really sound chance. I don't want to bet him at 7-4 because again, you know, if you're betting short like that, you need to have pretty much all the boxes ticked, or the opponents have to have lots more questions than some of these do. I think out of those three, the one I want to be with is probably Forever Young. I quite like him. Fierceness is a little bit too in and out for me. City of Troy could easily win, and it would be fantastic if he does. It would be a really great story. But he's not a price I want to bet. I think betting Forever Young each way feels almost like a bet to nothing. Now, it is a deeper race than 3 horses. In the old brigade, we've got the likes of Derma Sotogake, who was second in this race last year, and Ushba Tesoro, who's a globe-trotting beast of a horse. I mean, he's really a fantastic unit to look at. I think he's 7 now, so that's kind of, you know, obviously that's a bit older than your standard classic winner, but he is a very hard-knocking, majestic animal, and he definitely belongs in this field. There are other horses as well. Sierra Leone has been 2nd and 3rd in most of his runs. He was 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. Arthur's Ride has got early speed and could go forward and take them a long way. Next is an incredible horse. He's just been winning by 100 miles in his races. He's won a couple of races in recent starts by 22 and 25 lengths. The issue is that those races were over 1.5 miles and 1.75 miles. And as has been quoted this week, as soon as you go past 10 furlongs in US dirt racing, the standard of the races drops off a cliff. So he'd be another fantastic story horse. He's a big white horse. He's got the outside post, which probably doesn't help. But if he can stay with them through the first 6 furlongs, he might be a little bit interesting. His price has come in quite a lot now. He was 40-1, and I must admit I had a small bit of that each way. I'm sure it's a losing bet, but I couldn't, you know, I just loved his profile, albeit that it probably doesn't fit against these much faster, shorter running animals. So that's the classic. Forever Young each way for me, but it's a cracking race, and you know, really does fit the classic bill perfectly. There've been a few scabby ones lately, notably last year's perhaps, but this looks really compelling stuff. It's hard to know who's going to win, and that's the point, isn't it? So good luck whoever you fancy there. I'm going to try with Forever Young each way, but I hope City of Troy runs a big one as well. So somewhat after the Lord Mayor's show, after the classic, and it will be the girls, the ladies, the women in the Fillier Mare Turf, just a furlong shy of the turf, and as a consequence of that, Chad Brown, who's won this 4 times, decided not to run anything in protest, basically, at the fact that they were running 11 furlongs when they've got an option here to run 9 from the inner chute. They did that in 2017 when the Breeders' Cup was first held here. They did not do that in 2021 when it came back here. So last time it was here, it was 11 furlongs. This time it's 11 furlongs again, and presumably that's its Del Mar trip now. We'll find out because they race here again for the Breeders' Cup next year. Anyway, no Chads, which is a shame. That leaves Charlie's and Aiden's and one George Bowie and a host of domestics. When I was going through this race, I had no preconceptions. I had a really open mind on it, and I just thought it was a very open race. By the time I'd looked through the form and watched Cinderella's Dream, she has got unbelievable acceleration. She's got push-button acceleration at the end of her races. And I thought if they just kind of... Full Count Felicia looks like the only signed-on pace in the race. She's got trap too. She's almost certain to go forward. She has a stablemate in the race in Moira that theoretically she could be setting it up for. That was believed to be the case last time when Full Count Felicia went forward in Canada, and Moira just never got anywhere near her. Full Count Felicia she's a good horse. She's a very good filly, and they don't want to give her too much rope because she might just stay away. But if Cinderella's Dream is anywhere near her, I think she I think she just wins this. She's kind of a slightly lesser known Godolphin horse to us because she's been mainly running over here since, I wouldn't say she disappointed in the Guineas, but she wasn't in the first three. But she looks a really nice filly, and that acceleration on this tight turf track is a prime attribute. Content is the one that has kind of European class, if you like. Ilang Ilang is a non-runner, unfortunately. Content has been running in Group 1s all season, and she's a Group 1 winner. She's run a couple of flat races lately on sort of European soft ground, and maybe you can put a line through those. If she comes back to her best, she's a definite contender. She's probably the class in the field. But yeah, Cinderella's Dream is the one for me. There's a lot of talk in the US about Warlike Goddess, but I can't be having her at age 7. I don't think she's quick enough anymore. She's been a brilliant horse, but I think this is probably one dance too many for her. Cinderella's Dream is just about my nap of the week, I think, and so that probably means you can put a line through her chance. Onwards we go. There are only 3 left now, and surprisingly I'm making quite a good time here. The Breeders' Cup Sprint is the anti-penultimate race on Saturday, the third last race if you prefer, and it's a speed fest. My word, they're quick here. So trap 1 is a out and out speed ball, albeit usually at 7 furlongs rather than 6. Trap 3 is an out and out speed ball at 6 furlongs and probably will try to make the lead. Trap 5, Don Frankie, is an out and out speed ball from Japan. Trap 6, Bentornato, is another speed horse. Trap 8, Straight No Chaser, is a very, very fast horse, need the lead type. Trap 11, Skelly, yet another need the lead type. Mullikin in 10 is tractable but usually goes forward, and so there are 2 ways to look at this race. You can either say, what's the speed of the speed, what's the horse that can lead those fast horses, and can he hang on? There are a couple of contenders in that context. Just because of his draw, I think Federal Judge has a chance to clear Raging Torrent, because Fed Judge has got 6 furlong speed, Raging Torrent's got 7 furlong speed. That is material in a race like this. I think Fed Judge probably gets the fence, gets to the turn on the rail. Of the rest, Straight No Chaser is seriously fast, and he may attempt to clear Bentornato and Don Frankie, and he might be able to do that. Skelly is the one that looks the most compromised, because that one kind of needs to go forward, and it's just going to be really hard from out there against so much inside speed. So that's one way of looking at it, bet Federal Judge. The other way of looking at it is there's too much speed, it's going to be a pace collapse, and something's going to run on through beaten horses. If you take that perspective, and the Del Mar track is kind of not normally supportive of that approach. The speed does often hold up on Del Mar's track. It can change from meeting to meeting, so we'll have to see on that. But the 2 closers I think to note most are Nakatomi in stall 4. He was placed in the race last year. He ran behind Federal Judge last time at a respectable distance, it should be said, a respectful distance. Fed Judge probably had a golden rail there to run on, but nevertheless it was a course record for him, and he won by miles. Nakatomi's got international grade 1 6 furlong dirt form. He's been placed all over the place in the Emirates and across America, and he figures to be finishing when a lot of the ones in front of him are very, very tired. The other one is the Japanese horse Remake. He's a bit of a star. He's won the last 2 renewals of the Korea Sprint, a big field 6 furlong dirt race where they tend to go off mighty hard. There's a horse that ran here a couple of years ago called Jasper Crone, who's just an absolute out and out front runner, and Remake ran that one down last time. He's got form in Dubai as well, so he's travelled a fair bit and danced the big dances, and he is an interesting one to me. Again, it's about the prices, and I think, I mean, Remake and Nakatomi are pretty much the same price now. I slightly prefer Remake. I just think sometimes he travels very nice, very kindly off seriously fast fractions in front of him. And if he can do that, then he can definitely pull himself into the race late. Anti-post, I punted Federal Judge, so I really hope that one can get it done. But of the closers, I like Remake most of all. There's a word for Mulligan as well. I think it's kind of difficult from where he is, but he's a very talented horse also, and he's another one that could get into the frame in a what should be a brilliant watch. It's not hard to find, not easy to find the winner, but it's a cracking contest anyway. And then we go quite late to what I think is the race of the meeting, even beyond the Classic. The Breeders' Cup Mile this year is a phenomenal race. There's so many European Group 1 horses. There's Japanese interest. There's good American horses. This is a belter. Goliath probably goes forward. That's not going to help him win. He doesn't have the form to win this anyway, but he will be on the front. The US horses, the best of them, are probably More Than Looks, Johannes and Carl Spackler. Carl Spackler would have been interesting if he hadn't got such a ropey draw. I quite like Johannes. I've backed More Than Looks, but gone off that one completely. This, I think, for me, Geoglyph is a bit of a runner. Chili Flag is kind of interesting as well. I'm not with Ramatuelle. I think she's got a very poor draw there. I saw her at the track here. She looks quite a slim, light filly, and this is going to be a bit of a war. And I just like hold up on the inside there. I'm kind of against her, although I do respect her as a very, very good filly. What she did in the foray last time was, you know, not many horses put 3 lengths between themselves and Kinross over 7 furlongs on soft ground, and she was able to do that. So she's a really smart filly, but I'm not sure that this is the right setup for her. The ones I like are Notable Speech. I think he won a Sussex, he won a Guineas. Charlie Appleby's won the last 3 renewals of this. He's bidding for a 4-timer. This horse is absolutely the best horse that Charlie has pointed at the race, and he's won it the last 3 years. So that's already a very strong hint to his chance. He's obviously not been missed in the market. Porta Fortuna, she's been an amazing filly this year as well. She's won multiple Group 1s. I'm not sure that this is optimal for her. She definitely wouldn't be a surprise winner. She's a very classy filly, and I really like her. It would be great for Donica O'Brien if she could win. That would be the 3rd member of the O'Brien clan to win at the Breeders' Cup in recent years, after Joseph and obviously Dad Aiden. And Dad Aiden runs Diego Velasquez, who I think has got quite a good chance and looks a pretty solid each way bet. He's Leopardstown form. He's 3 from 3 at Leopardstown. Is kind of my route in here. I think he's a classy horse anyway, but his last couple of runs, he's really looked the part. A mile is probably his trip. Obviously, he's got Ryan Moore on top, and I think he's definitely a player here. But Notable Speech is kind of my main angle. Charlie Appleby's 50% at the meeting, something like 9 from 18 or something ridiculous at the Breeders' Cup. You know, absolutely phenomenal numbers. He obviously knows how to get this job done as he's on the 4-timer in the race. Notable Speech will be hard to beat. If any of them beat him, it might be Diego Velasquez, but this should be an absolutely cracking race. Well worth staying up for until 11:45. I cannot really say the same about the closing race, the Dirt Mile, at 12:25, which is kind of the opposite of everything I just said about the Turf Mile. Like this is a race full of horses that aren't really good enough to contest the Sprint or the Classic. It's a bugger's muddle of a race. You see there's loads of red on the grid there. There's just a lot of horses that don't really fit, and one of them has to win. There's a bundle of speed in here, and that's going to inconvenience some of them. there's not really anything I particularly like in here. I thought Full Serrano was overpriced, stall 3. This horse has come out of Argentina. He's had a couple of goes for John Sadler locally. Was a good winner at a mile, and then he went up to 10 furlongs in a grade 1, and he led nearly all the way. Just got run down late on, so obviously he's got stamina in abundance for this 8 furlong trip. He's got a bit of class about him. He's got loads of back class from Argentina as well, and he's 20 to 1 in a race where there are so many of them that you've got to apologise for one thing or another. There wasn't really anything like I backed Skippy Longstocking anti-post. That one's got stall 14, which is horrendous. He's been beaten in races like this 100 times already. I mean, this one does probably set up better than most of those for him, and obviously I'll be delighted if he manages to get it done, but I couldn't advise betting him at kind of 6.5 to 1 or 7 to 1 from stall 14. Yeah, I just Sees the Grey maybe, post time maybe. It's an awful race. You just throw a dart at it. But if you the one I'm going to bet is Full Serrano, just because of his price in a race that is a guesser's paradise. And that is the Breeders' Cup 2024. There's 9 races. It's a Breeders' Cup marathon, not a Breeders' Cup sprint. I wish you all the very best with your wagers. And this is Matt Bisogno saying thank you for tuning in on ggs.co.uk, and goodbye for now. To Saturday's 9 race card, and I'll try to be brief. If I can do 3 minutes a race, and it'll be just shy of half an hour. That's probably quite a big if you've tuned into any of my videos before. So we start Saturday 7 o'clock local time in the UK with the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, a 7 furlong race on dirt.